Is there a public
It's
hearing
April
scheduled
25th.
for that yet?
2018, welcome to the Personnel Committee of the Albany County Legislature. I'm your chairman, Mark Grimm. Lynn Lecoq is the vice chair to my left. The first order of business is approving the previous minutes. Any questions on the minutes? All right, do I have a motion?
Second.
Second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Next item is Resolution 131, a hearing on the proposed local law F. The date is March 27th on this, so the date would have to be altered for obvious reasons. May 29th? Okay. All right, so as amended, the date is May 29th. Are there any discussion? Okay. Is there a
You
motion?
indicate, this is for the anti-nepotism policy.
Right.
I see it's in the text.
It's the
Okay.
anti-nepotism law. It's for the setting of the public hearing. Is there a motion?
So,
Does the sponsor want to speak to it prior to?
well, we were gonna pass these out. I didn't realize what number was what, so I
Okay.
didn't have the agenda in front of me.
Go
Would you
ahead.
like a copy of the resolution, or the law, rather?
It's right behind it.
It's in our agenda.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
No,
great.
there are
You
changes,
have it.
are there not?
Right?
There's two changes, two minor
Yes,
changes.
but I think you have the one,
Yes,
you probably do, right?
changes are underlined.
Yeah, you have it, or they have it in their agenda already.
Does everyone have a copy that has two underlined items? Okay, hold on a second.
Let's get those out.
We have the 80 on the line.
You've got, no, not the amended versions. I handed out an amended. There we go.
Thank you.
All right, you have the most recent one? Okay, very good. Put the two together. Okay. Well, Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Sure.
So I'd just like to open up the floor to questions. I think it's a fairly straightforward and short law. We did make, before I open up the questions, we did make a couple of additions. If you turn to the second page, under Section 3, the Albany County Charter, Article 26 is amended by. If you follow down to Section B, paragraph II, we added that the Ethics Commission may inquire about the other candidates for the position in question and require that said candidates' resumes be provided. So essentially, this gives the Ethics Commission a little leeway to see comparatively whether or not the proposed candidate stacks up well, so to speak, against other available candidates, and make a recommendation therein. On page 3, in section 4, under applicability, we added, this local law shall not apply retroactively. Individuals who were hired by the County of Albany on or before the effective date of this local law shall not be impacted. So therefore, though self-explanatory, wouldn't affect anybody in play prior to the enactment of this law. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them.
This wouldn't apply to people serving on boards or commissions?
These are not, yeah, these are paid positions. These are paid positions.
Yes, Mr. Moore.
Do you, I see you have a definition for family member that differs from the definition of family member in the most stringent ethics law in this region anyway, which is ours. Is there a reason for that? Especially since you're
And you're referring, just to make sure, you're referring under
T.
T, okay.
definition.
This is the definition that I chose to go with. I didn't know that they would be found to be dramatically different. What points on?
This is section 2, item T, okay?
Right, section T.
It differs from our ethics law, is what I'm saying.
Well, this is pertaining specifically to this law. We're not looking to change the overall ethics law. This is specifically to this law for these positions. So we're defining,
But the definition of family member specific to this law differs from that which is in our ethics law.
it may,
Which
and
is
if
asking
so,
our ethics law, the commission, to opine themselves on this.
well, I think it's spelled out quite well in the law. So therefore, if they're following the law and making an opinion on the law, it's fairly clear. And these are, family member shall mean a spouse, domestic partner, child, stepchild, sibling, parent, step-parent, grandchild, niece, nephew, uncle, aunt, or the spouse or domestic partner of any of the aforementioned. I think it's meant to be comprehensive, and that's why it's spelled out in more detail, greater detail than the current law.
Sean, let me just ask, do you know, how is it different than?
Well, it expands upon, I mean, might as well
What
add
does it
second
expand?
cousins, and it's expanded quite a bit differently from our ethics law, which I believe goes to immediate family.
Oh, okay. So this includes more relatives, if you will?
Correct.
than the previous one, okay.
And, I always had a problem with this, I have nieces and nephews that aspire to be public servants. Why should they be disqualified just because I'm a legislator?
Well, these aren't disqualifying them.
No,
from being public servants.
you gotta put them through a political process.
No.
You do.
This doesn't disqualify them from being public servants. Disqualifies them very specifically from appointed positions and civil service exempt positions.
Correct.
So those are only a small portion of the employment in Albany County as a public servant.
That's correct. But you're,
And it's
some of
only
those positions
falls for
they go
the,
to college for.
well, that may be, but they could certainly start at any other level.
Any other questions?
They may be coming from a higher level to come here. I mean, we have a hard time recruiting people for positions now.
Well, therein, that's why we have the out. That's why it's built in, and, it can be, particularly those well qualified as that. It was my intent to craft language here so that those who are well qualified could be, I shouldn't say easily, but willfully presented by the Ethics Commission with a positive recommendation.
You would make the process more political than it is now, than you believe it is now.
Well, I don't think the Ethics Commission is meant to be political. I think the Ethics Commission is meant to be unbiased and independent.
They may be unbiased, but they'll probably take the easy road. I would just say no, right?
I don't know.
The elected
I can't
official
predict
is
what an
actually
Ethics Commission
elected
is.
on
Maybe not
making
even yet
decisions.
formed at this point. We don't know when this is. 5 years from now, you don't know who's on the commission, so how could you predict whether or not they would take the easy way out? And if the easy way out is even to say no, maybe the easy way out is to say yes.
I'm not talking about personalities, I'm talking about just human nature on any board. The elected official is the one who is elected by the people
Right.
to make decisions, sometimes tough decisions.
And the
they have to
legislature,
stand
by the way,
those.
still makes the final decision. So if we read through, and maybe we should rehash. Okay, should an elected officer or department head seek to hire an individual who is barred from county employment per subsection A of this article, the following criteria must be met. So an opinion needs to be requested, okay, from the Albany County Ethics Commission. The Ethics Commission shall issue an opinion and recommend a course of action afforded to Personnel Committee. All right, only after this Ethics Commission has issued the opinion shall the individual appear before the Personnel Committee, which we do now anyway. And the Personnel Committee of the legislature may, at their discretion, then choose to refer said appointment to the whole legislature for a vote, which we do now in any case. And this vote shall be taken by long roll call with a simple majority. So this is the same process we have now, with the only exception being that the Ethics Committee submits a recommendation.
Are we only talking about commissioners?
We're talking about appointed, let's go back.
Well, the legislature does not authorize most appointments, only commissioners.
Well,
And we don't even authorize those, we
Those that-
confirm those. We can't decide on who they can.
these are civil service exempt positions, so these could be confidential secretaries, they could be
Correct.
those, in charge of carrying out the wishes of their superiors and so on and so forth. So these are,
Laborers.
we'll call the high-end jobs. All right, these are the
Laborers
jobs.
are non-competitive positions.
That's
sorry?
different.
Is it?
Mhm.
Yes.
Exempt is a different category
Yeah,
than
this is
non-competitive.
exempt. Yeah.
The civil service, laborers are, they can be civil service,
Are they,
they don't take a tax.
Right.
are they exempt or non-competitive? Laborers.
There's a labor class and a non-competitive class, neither of which overlaps with the exempt class. There are no labor positions in the entire county under the exempt class.
Ms. McKnight, you had some questions?
Yes, I would like to have some clarity from our Albany County Attorney, Mr. Lynch, has clarified this charter amended item that he's putting forth. And I think that would help us better understand the difference in the two, whether through our ethics or through the county attorney for ruling. This is very important, and I think we need a ruling from our lawyer of the county.
You're asking the county attorney to...
Yes, we can.
Distinguish between the number of people who are included in the current ethics law versus this proposal?
Just give us pure clarity on this, because it can be very confusing, because this is part of the affirmative action policy, it's a part of this new rule here, and we need to know exactly where this is coming from, because it can be problematic down the road, you know, if we don't get it,
Ironically, the law committee did vote to pass this through to a public hearing.
well, they didn't get a ruling from our county attorney who protects our county government, and on that, when you talk about employees, I think this needs to go to a higher level.
These are not employees, though. These are potential employees.
Well, they will be potential employees. okay.
Potential employees.
I want to state, just for the record, because I sound very passionate about this, I have nobody currently or anticipated to look into county employment that would fit under this class presently. Or
You don't have any relatives?
Nobody,
Yeah.
nobody.
Yeah.
But I still think that we would be setting up a lot of roadblocks for qualified people. I can think of a few relatives of mine that would be well qualified for even commissioner level positions here. And we're setting up a roadblock for that not to happen. And, like I say, I don't anticipate that happening, but could. And we might have somebody very well qualified for a position, that we're setting up extra steps beyond confirmation and everything else they have to go through.
Well, this may be true. However, it's one extra step, which is that the Ethics Commission would issue an opinion, and that's it. And that is, again, I think, to repeat, it's not intended to be a politicized process. The Ethics Commission is intended to be independent. So that's why we're going with the
I
Ethics.
have all the faith in our current Ethics Commission in the world, but they're also, human nature tells you to be cautious, and if there's any reason for them not to do it, they probably would. And I'm not talking about the personalities that are present there, I'm talking about any commission.
Well, one of the things that I put in to combat that is this underlying section here, that the Ethics Commission may inquire about the other candidates, because, to be quite honest, I mean, you may in fact have a relative who is the most, or most
Any of us
qualified
may.
in the pool, that's right, in
any
the
of
pool
us.
of candidates. And that gives us an opportunity to bring that to the light of day, by the Ethics Commission can say, okay, what resumes do you have? And if the report is, we've got no resumes, the Ethics Commission would certainly take it into consideration. Or if the Ethics Committee says, we've reviewed the resumes and found them wanting, your candidate looks even better. So I think it's a fair shake to the candidate by allowing that person to, you're putting your money where your mouth is. Hey, my niece is the most qualified person for this position, and how?
If
So Lucy, I agree with you.
Yes, because that language is already in the affirmative action policy. And
I think the
it-
attorney,
that's-
the
we'll
county
make it
attorney
clear.
should,
Give us some clarity on this.
yes.
This wouldn't take another month.
Lynn had a question, then you...
Well, what happens in the case of when someone is terminated from their job or quits their job or retires from their job? It's still enforced. They wouldn't be able to be appointed, right? They could go through the process.
I don't follow. Can you make an example of who would be terminated? What do you mean, an employee of the county?
Yeah,
Okay. And that employee then seeks reemployment?
yeah.
And-
That'd be an...
I mean, if they're terminated, I think it's kind of a moot point,
So
so
they're new even if they're new. They're not going to go under the old...
if it's a new job, yeah. I mean, if they take a leave of absence or something, I don't think anyone would interpret this to mean that they have to come back and ask for hiring. If somebody's fired, I think that certainly speaks volumes to the situation. If they elect to leave and to come back a year later and it's for a position that falls under this category, then they would be subject to that review. But certainly one would take that into account, I would think.
And I was also thinking of like someone who's worked their way up, like to the commissioner level. Say they started as a office employee and they worked their way up. And certainly if the time came to appoint them, and the Ethics Commission would certainly be able to weigh in on, they had been a trusted employee.
I would think so. That's the idea for having the Ethics Commission to
It
weigh.
increases the transparency.
Right. That was the idea, is we put it in their hands and they can come back and make a recommendation. And then legislators can vote their conscience based on that information, whatever it may be.
Rick, and then we'll get to you, Travis.
I have two questions. One is, how many positions are we talking about in the county government?
I don't know how many it is.
Dozens or hundreds?
Do we have a date on that?
Not an exact number, but it's not a lot. We're talking somewhere around, I think, like 50 to 75-ish.
I think we had asked, for
Yeah.
that, but, yeah.
And then my second question, and I don't know, does domestic partner, does that have a legal definition?
New York
or-
State, it's based on New York State and their legal definition.
Mr. Stevens?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move this to public hearing.
I had already had a motion, I'd like to see if we get
Hold on
voted
just a
on.
second.
Yeah.
Mr. Miller?
Okay, if the Ethics Commission disapproves this, it still goes before the Personnel Committee?
No, the Ethics Commission makes the decision whether to move it forward to the Personnel Committee.
So if they disapprove of it, then it gets to the Personnel Committee?
That would seem, well, that,
Like Sean was
no,
saying.
that's not necessarily the case. They can issue reading the paragraph the way we've written it, it is up to them to forward it one way or the other.
So it would go, so even if they reject it, it goes to Personnel?
They could, yeah.
Could or would?
It could, the way this is written, I mean,
Well, that's
if
right.
that's a real catching point, that could be changed, but it would appear that,
So the Personnel Committee could override a negative rejection?
well, I don't believe so, because, well, no, I'm sorry, they can't, excuse me, they can't, yes, they can. I'm sorry, I'm thinking in circles, trying to read while
They
you're
can refer
talking.
it to the whole
The
Yeah,
list.
standing
right.
committee can refer
Right,
to the whole
right,
thing.
the committee can refer it, yeah,
I just wanted to clarify.
you are correct.
So basically, we would, there could be an exempt employee below commissioner level that would basically have to go through the Ethics Commission first, and then the equivalent of a confirmation hearing if the person.
That could be the case, yeah. But remember, the Ethics Commission can issue any opinion, positive or negative. The county legislature can then vote and disregard that opinion. There's no reason to say that the legislature has to listen to that opinion. It's simply an opinion. So they can't
It's a-
kill the hire, and so the word somebody else used, they can't kill the hire, they can only make a recommendation to do so. And it's up to the legislature then, if the Personnel Committee wishes to move that forward, then that's what would happen. Just like any other process, if the committee doesn't move it, then the legislature doesn't see it.
They have no-
Mr. Ethier's got a question then. Mr. Ethier?
Oh, yeah, I just want to ask, is this, are you pertaining to blood relatives?
Yes.
It's-
It includes blood relatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is it just for blood relatives?
No, under section T describes all of that.
Okay, Mr. Ward?
I guess one of my questions, do we have any other laws that we have passed that would be sent to the Ethics Commission for an opinion other than what's in our ethics law? I don't know, I'm just talking out loud, I know nobody probably knows that, but
The gender law.
Agenda's
the what?
The gender law we passed in 2013 that Sean Moore sponsored, that provides,
Does that go to Human Rights Commission? or-
yeah, human rights, actually.
Yeah, Human Rights has a few. I don't know, just off the top of my head, and I'd like to hear the answer on that, if we have any other law that we ask our Ethics Commission to make an opinion
Ruling
on,
on.
a rule on, other than what's in our ethics law, which, by the way, is a very, very stringent ethics law. And I believe there's also language, I don't believe, I know that there is language related to nepotism in the ethics law, which may contradict this. We should look at that.
Legislator McKnight had a motion on the floor, and I agreed with that, and,
To refer to the county attorney?
Just let the county attorney review this.
Okay, all right.
Can we ask them to review it as it relates to our present ethics law?
Sean, what about asking,
So the motion is to
violation their
refer to
rights?
the county attorney for an opinion on what you just described,
Yeah.
and also how it differentiates the relatives from one versus this proposal?
Well, and there's also language in our ethics law that as it relates to nepotism. And we want to make sure that we don't contradict it with another
Clarity.
law. And Gil just brings up a good point too, I'll let him speak to it, but
Could you have the county attorney look into what violates their constitutional rights?
Well, I think there's a, why don't we, there's a
Add
motion
that
and
to
there's a
your
second.
Constitutional rights to get a...
Is everybody clear about what the motion is?
I think all of us are asking the county opinion, county attorney to offer an opinion.
involved.
We're adding subjects that he should be looking for.
All right, is there any objection to referring this to the county attorney among the committee?
And Mr. Chairman, there is a public hearing approved by the law committee. Is there a way to push this through with the county attorney's opinion at the next personnel meeting, which I think is before the hearing? Can that be done?
All right, so the question is, can we approve the public hearing without approving the law? And still get the attorney...
Because I think you have another meeting of personnel before the public hearing.
Okay, so what's the will of the committee regarding just allowing the public hearing to go forward?
Isn't that the day after though?
Other nays?
Usually it's the same.
Say no.
Doesn't a public hearing have to be publicized?
Public hearings on Tuesday.
Laws on Monday, though.
All right, that won't work now.
But it's way ago.
Yeah, it won't.
We have Monday.
Yeah.
My point is, we don't have a county attorney's opinion, and then we're scheduling a hearing after the next personnel meeting. We would approve the hearing, assume at the next personnel meeting. What's the notification from that?
It'll be the next month.
10 days, 15, 30 days?
Just to clarify the question you're asking is...
So they're saying that the law pushed it out through public hearing.
Sure.
We're asking the county attorney to give his opinion. And then they're saying also by the next public hearing, the next personnel meeting, we can push it out, but if we push it out at the next personnel meeting,
There wouldn't be a public hearing until all the committees in which this item sits passed it. It goes before the full legislature, and then the full legislature authorizes it. If this committee does not pass this for a month, then the fact that it was passed out of law is just a reference point until this committee discharges
okay.
it.
So it wouldn't take place then?
That's correct. Because the full body wouldn't have had a chance to review it.
So we have a motion on the
In the
floor.
motion, Derek, do we have to vote? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I think we're going to get the opinion from the county attorney. I think that's the way we're doing it. Are you clear on what...
But even if it doesn't, they have to change the date. Do they have to
I believe the question regarding the legality of Article F.
Yes.
To be clear, just so we're clear...
Clarity.
Is it unconstitutional?
Just tie in Mr. Warren's next question to the county attorney, and that's the information we want provided to this committee.
Yeah, Mr. Etier brings up a good point, whether or not we're infringing on the rights of individuals who, either relatives or no relatives of any individual for employment in Albany County, based on relationship.
Oh, well, we can ask the county attorney for that as well.
Yeah.
All right. Is everybody clear what we're doing? We're going to ask the county attorney for those three,
Okay.
for an
Yeah.
opinion on those three, and then we'll take it up
Request
subsequently.
opinion.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay.
while you're there, should it go in the charter or should it go in the ethics law?
Goes over while
Maybe
he's
they have an
working on it.
opinion on where it should go while we're talking about it. They're all in one place, everything has to do with ethics. And nepotism, if nepotism...
There's nepotism is a subject of our present ethics law. And basically, it says that a legislator or any elected official cannot, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, cannot influence the hiring of any relative. The relative is defined in the ethics law.
All right, is the sponsor willing to table these until we get the responses from the county attorney? Mr. Gray?
Yes, I'd be willing to do so.
All right, and that's what we'll do. And then both the local law and both the public hearing, those two are tabled.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
All right, the next item of business, Resolution 181, amending the residency requirement policy for employees of Albany County. Mr. Etier?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I presented this to the Law Committee Monday night, and they passed it out favorably after a discussion on it. But I think most of you know what it's about the, well, right now, there's not much of a problem with county residents being hired in the county. Most departments abide by the county residency law. There are times that they need waivers, like the nurses or special skills or trade, the department has to seek people outside the county because they can't get qualified people in the county to even apply for the job based on wages or all these different things. But what this came about, in my mind, was last month, the chair of the legislature was asking for a resolution to take a legislative office and not have to abide by the residency law. And they could just hire anybody they want to do. And back during that time, about a month or two, there was a lot of scuttlebutt discussion about that might be happening, where they might hire people outside the county to work in the legislature office, or maybe in the majority office, or maybe in the minority office. And I find that not necessary, because I believe with 300,000 people in Albany County, the chairman's office, the majority office, the minority council of the legislature should be able to find somebody qualified to do any one of these positions we have in these offices. I don't think there's any secret knowledge that somebody in the county wouldn't have that couldn't do these jobs. So that's where this all came from on my part. And it's not affecting other departments. Other departments can still ask for a waiver if they deem it's necessary and to come to the legislature. What I'm asking in this resolution is that the legislative office, that being the majority office, the chairman office, the minority office, we cannot even ask for a waiver. We have to hire somebody that is a resident of Albany County to fill any position that we may be seeking somebody to work in. And of course, they'll be qualified and stuff like that. But that's what it's all about. I feel very strong about this after talking to a lot of county residents, a lot of political people, a lot of elected officials, a lot of just overall knowledge. I think it's very foolish for us, a legislative office that's political in nature, has policy, why we wouldn't be leading the charge to make sure all the employees are county employees that live here in the county. And with that, that's what it's all about. And I ask you guys to send it out favorably, but it's your choice. I didn't solicit nobody for votes. I don't do that stuff. Vote your conscience. If you think it's the right thing to do, not hire county residents and as a secretary in our office or some other office in the legislature or the lawyer. If we don't have nobody qualified in Albany County, I think that's far-fetched and hard to believe. So that's the bottom line. Any questions? I'd be very glad to answer them.
Mr. Joyce?
Gil,
Yeah.
should we apply this to every department across the county?
No,
Why not?
only because there's a lot of departments that they need, like the health department, the sheriff's department. There's a lot of trained professionals that we can't get in the county. That's why we got the waiver in the county residency law for that purpose.
I agree. Now, my follow-up question to that is I completely agree with the residency requirements. If I had my way, it would apply to every department across the county, but that's not practical. I mean, Sean can attest, we have had, when he was chair, we've had people parade in month after month looking to go out of county. I disagreed with the chair when he tried to exempt the legislature, and I explained it to him that we have to follow the same rules we apply to our departments that we have to oversee. So if we're going to exempt ourselves, we have to exempt all other departments. If we're not going to exempt ourselves, we shouldn't exempt any department. And I appreciate what you're doing here, I completely agree. But I don't like the fact that we're just going to target just the legislature, because there may be a time when we won't be able to fill a position. I don't see that being the case, but I don't want to tie our hands either. I think it should be fair across the board.
Well, that's your opinion, that's okay.
Mr. Ward?
I agree with everything Gil and Ray say, but there are always exceptions, especially in departments. We have had a hard time hiring some of the EMTs, CNAs, those types, and we do give them a one-year waiver if they show that they have made an effort to hire and we're unable to. I don't see any reason why we can't hire, especially for our legislative positions. There should be no reason to go out of county for anybody. There's nobody that specialized that we don't have a position. However, we are the legislature, and this is a resolution of the legislature. And if we did come up with a case somewhere down the line where we needed a specialized employee this legislature can undo this resolution by majority vote. Simple. But this, you know, as far as hiring people in our offices, I see nobody where there should be granted exemption for positions in our offices. We have plenty of government administrators, lawyers.
And that's the argument I addressed with the chair. I said, Albany County is the heart of New York State and New York State government, therefore, there's a big pool of people we could hire from. But I'm just saying, we should be following the same rules we administer to the departments we oversee. So if we're going to exempt ourselves, we should exempt all departments. If we are not going to exempt ourselves,
I'm a firm believer in residency requirements. They pay our taxes, they pay our salaries.
I agree.
There are people.
Yep.
And we should hire them.
Yep, I agree.
And they also have pride in their county. They live here for a reason. Most of them have pride in their county, and they want to be an employee of Albany County. They should live here.
Yeah.
But I also understand that we do there are shortages for some positions.
Agreed.
So I'm in favor of 100% residency if we can achieve it.
Ms. Lakakis?
Are we not bound by the residency requirement to begin with? Isn't that why somebody asked for it to be changed? I mean, I assume that we are bound by that, and that if we needed to have an exemption be requested, and then we would deny it if we didn't want to.
This doesn't allow for an exemption.
Well,
I'm talking about the way it is now.
the legislature can always undo.
Well, it says prohibits exemptions.
It does. It does. So somebody else could put an exemption resolution in 5 months from now saying they repeal this resolution and enact non-residents everybody can be non-residents. That can happen. I wouldn't like to see that happen, but it can happen.
I was talking about what exists now that we operate on.
Brandon, I'm sorry, I'm practicing law without a license.
Because this seems to me that we already...
Did we get the county attorney to review this?
I didn't get nobody to review it, other than myself and common sense. And I find it very hard, very disturbing, that this legislature, any one of you people, are digging to find some reason not to hire a county resident. I've been in the legislature for 39 years. This has never even been an issue till 2 months ago. We always had the foresight and the brains to hire county residents. This all came about a month and a half ago when we had a turmoil going on. And I put this in for protection for the county residents. I don't want to go knock on somebody's door and they say, Gil, why couldn't you hire me as the secretary in your legislative office? Instead you hired somebody from Saratoga County. I mean, that's a hard sell when you're representing people.
The legislature is bound by our hiring agreements, meaning that they have to hire Albany County first. If they can't, they have to file for an exemption. The process is already in place for the legislature. I agree with the residency requirement. I'm just saying that next month, if I introduce the same thing for all county departments, you'll support it, correct?
I'll support it. Yeah, I will. If you introduce it, I'll support it.
Okay.
No exemptions?
No, just, I was, number one, I've been here since they started this thing, and I believe it should be county residents to begin with. All of a sudden, some department heads on their own decide to say, well, the nurses we're hiring, we can't get the right nurse, or we can't get the right person. Now, how far the department heads go to look for these people, I don't know. I don't understand why, with 300,000 people in Albany County, they can't fill these jobs that we have in the county without going out of the county. And that's no problem with me. I wish it was all county residents to begin with.
I told the chair, and I'd be a hypocrite, I told him you can't do it because we have to follow a procedure. We can't make a procedure different for the legislature that we administer to every department. So I'd be a hypocrite if I sat there and agreed with this after I just told him we had to follow the same procedure we administer all departments. I completely agree with this resolution, though.
Well, then you agree with it, Ray, by all means, vote for it.
Expand it to cover.
I'm not going to expand to nothing.
Hold on a second, I'll identify the members.
I'm not going to expand to nothing. I'm standing by it. We got 39 legislators. You're all free-minded. Just get up and say yes or no and tell the residents you're yes or no. I don't care. I think it's the right thing to do. And I'm not changing the language. And I won't be offended if you guys vote it down. You have to answer to people, not me.
I fully agree with this, but I think that the need for exemptions
is clear. The last meeting we had, the nursing home had 20 some odd openings for CNAs, 14 or 15 openings for LPNs, and a number of openings for RNs. And in some cases, like nursing staff and CNA, you just,
Rich, this doesn't affect them.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
This just affects our legislative office.
He's speaking to the second idea.
Yeah, the exemptions need to exist.
Well, that's up to him to put a resolution if he wants to.
Mr. Bergdorf.
I'm not a member of the committee, but I didn't hear an answer to Lynn's question, which I think hits the nail on the head. What is the policy today? Because it seems like the policy today is you can't hire anybody without an exception. So somebody suggested an exception, and then the exception went away. So it seems like we have a policy that says you have to hire from Albany County. And it appears what Gil is trying to do is saying, yeah, but now we really mean it.
We definitely need.
I mean, but the policy is right now what you want it to be.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because we can ask for a waiver to bring some in our office.
But anybody can do that with 20 votes.
This ain't nothing with 20 votes. This is the majority leader, or the chairman, or the minority leader. They can hire somebody in their office at a whim. They can say, okay, I'm going to bring this person.
No, they have to.
They have to apply for a week,
Yeah, yeah.
just like the sheriff would have to apply.
And then your 20 people come in, then comes the arm twisting and the bending and all this nonsense. This eliminates all that. We shouldn't be looking outside the county at all. There's no job in the legislative offices that a county resident cannot perform if they have the quality. It's ridiculous. We got enough lawyers, we got people who do secretary stuff, we got people who answer phones, we got analysts. There's no skill. It's indefensible to hire somebody outside of our county in our legislative offices. I'm not talking about other departments where there may be need to go outside the county. I understand that. And that doesn't happen all the time either. That's very rare that comes about. The residency thing is a good law, and it should stay that way. And I want to see our legislative offices maintain it by saying we won't even ask for a waiver. We'll stay with the county. I don't think that's too much asked from a political organization, especially when the staff we're hiring doesn't service the public that much. 90% of their thing is servicing us legislators. So we should be in the forefront of hiring county residents only.
Okay, that's it. We have a motion.
Make a motion to send it to the floor.
Is there a second? All those in favor of Mr. Ethier's proposed law? Resolution. Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed. One no.
No, we two.
Oh, two, okay. Two no.
What was the vote?
2 noes.
2 noes.
2 noes? I want to thank everybody for their support and
See you on the floor.
see you on the floor and let your conscience be your guide.
The vote was 6-2.
Got one more?
The next item is confirming the appointment of the Director of the Department of Residential Healthcare Facilities. Mr. Slatsky could not be here tonight, but we have a representative to speak to this issue if the members have questions. Mr. McLaughlin.
I was under the impression that we, due to a scheduling error with Mr. Slacky actually being out of the state, that we could table in anticipation of folks wanting to ask him some questions about his contract.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to table this until he can make himself available.
Okay. All those in favor of the table? Opposed?
Can I just ask you, do we have a copy of the contract somewhere?
Say again now?
Do we have a copy of the contract?
No, typically, we don't include actual contracts, we always just include the details with our submission, but we can provide a copy of his previous contract if you'd like. It's the same contract.
Same,
Actually, there's the change would be his compensation, which, as I mentioned in the justification of the RLA, is set for this coming contract at $350 for the length of the contract. There is no escalation in the contract.
Can you attach can you send the contract, the previous contract to the
Yeah.
committee? And we can take this up next time.
If we're actually voting on a contract, shouldn't we see it?
I agree.
Is it, unless it's for some reason privileged, I don't. It's a public contract.
They go into executive
Yeah,
session.
absolutely.
That would be a change. Typically, we send contract authorizations without contracts attached. That's never been.
We don't have many personnel contracts.
Oh, that's true. It is a different type of
And we
contract.
do see our union contracts.
Yeah, so I guess we can send the contract.
All right, so the instruction is to send the contract to the members so they can have that before them, and then we take up this matter on the next meeting. Is everybody in agreement on that?
Yes.
All right, okay.
$350 a year.
Also, it's the same.
It's the same. The previous contract was $325, $325.
Yeah, the previous contract had an escalator. This contract is the same amount, but there is no escalator, so it's same for the length of the contract.
And by the way, it's a 3-year contract.
Three-year contract.
So $350 a year per year.
Yes.
All right, motion to adjourn.
Yes, sir. Motion to adjourn.
Good night. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We can share. Adjourn it.